Hi, welcome to the Explore YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue with the important Python concepts. Today our area of learning is Object-Oriented Programming Language, which is shortly abbreviated as OOPS. So the first topic is nothing but a class. So what is a class? So class and objects kind of go side by side, so we have to understand them both simultaneously. So if I just talk about a class, just consider a class person. Quite simple enough, right? Just consider a class person. So can I not say that the person has few attributes like height, age? Is the person a male or a female? That's also one of those attributes, right? Is the person a male or a female? And then maybe a color can be one of those attributes. That's it. Okay. um, if I talk about the person's methods or the functionalities the person can perform, then they are nothing but the person can sleep, the person can eat, the person can run, and then so on. You can just get creative with it. Okay, so the first category was nothing but the attributes or the characteristics, and the second one was nothing but the functionalities the person can perform. Functionalities the person can perform on a day-to-day life. So this functionalities is nothing but known as methods inside of a class. And attributes are nothing but the features or the characteristics of the person. That's it. Now here's the thing: to access this class person which I've just created, right? To access this class person which I've just created, I have to make use of object. I have to make use of object. Without object, I cannot access it. That's it. Now, the use of object is going to basically provide me access to all of these functionalities and all of these attributes. That's pretty much it. Now, here's the thing. How do I define a class in Python, and how do I define an object? So to define a class in Python, I'm just going to start with maybe a class person. So it will look something like this with respect to class. Here's the keyword I'm going to use, class. That's it. And followed by the class name, which is nothing but, in our case, person. That's the basic class definition. Now I'm going to define something called default constructor. You might be like, okay, what is it? So default constructor is nothing but a constructor or a method which kind of gets called by default when the object is created. Hear me out again properly. So default constructor is nothing but a method of basically the class person which gets called by default, right? By default when the object is called. Okay. So if there are maybe 6 methods in the person class and there's one default constructor, so that will be called by default and the remaining 5 methods won't be called. I hope that makes sense. To call them, you have to explicitly write object dot the method name. That's it. So in this case, I'm just going to write, suppose the default constructor can be written as def define. That's how I define the, that's how I kind of create a function. Double underscore, very important. In it, see how it kind of pops up, double underscore, and then self keyword comes up here. Now you might be like, okay, what is a self keyword? As of now, you just need to know that, okay, self is going to help us bind with the object itself. So self refers to the object itself, nothing else. Okay. So right now I'm going to define the attributes or the characteristics of the person. So it's nothing but self dot, maybe I can just create height. So height of the person is suppose 6.2. That's great. Then is the person a male or a female? So it can be as simple as gender. So gender is, suppose I'm going to write it as follows, female. That's it. Okay. Now I'm going to create one of the methods or the functionalities the person can perform. Suppose in this case the person is sleeping, right? So sleep is one of those things, or sleeping, and then I'm going to perform self. Great. So I'm going to return something here. Suppose I'll return something like the person's gender is, suppose the person's, or maybe what I can do is, instead of sleeping, I can just perform something like information, right? Information. Well, this is not really a functionality that a person can perform, right? But still, this is something which I'm going to get out of this sort of the class. Okay. So information is going to give me all of these height, gender, and all of those things in a very neat text way, right? I mean a string format. So the person's gender is nothing but, the person's gender is self dot gender. I hope that makes sense. Plus the height is nothing but, I have to explicitly convert this sort of like the 6.2, which is the float value, to integer, I mean to string. So this should be str of nothing but self dot height. That's it. So this is something which I'm going to be printing here. Okay. So basically what I'll be printing, the person's gender is female, it will print out, and the height is self dot height. That's it. So the thing is that, okay, I cannot call this by default. I mean, I cannot use this, all of these attributes and all of these methods on its own. I have to create something called object. Okay, so I have to create the object of what? Object of this class, person, object of this class person. So how will I do that? Well, I can just simply write here, suppose I'm gonna write object, so obj is fine, right? Obj is also fine. I'm gonna pass in, suppose I'll just write the person class, and that's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much it. So right now I've created the object of the class person. Now I kind of want to have the information here, right? So what I'll do is I'll just simply print here. I'll just simply print here obj dot person, and that's pretty much it. So what this will do is that, okay, not obj dot person but obj dot information, because that's what the method name is here. Okay, after I've done this, this is going to print or return this entire statement here. Okay, let's see if this is going to work or not. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this, and I'll go to one of my favorite editors here. So it's nothing but a Python tutor. It kind of helps you visualize Python code. You can just use this for your reference as well. So I'm just going to try to run this, and let's see if there is any error. So I'm just going to go to the last, and you can see here that, okay, so maybe I can just go from beginning. So you can see that, okay, I was at object here at first. The object for the person class got created, and then you can see kind of like the marker goes, right? So how it's getting executed and so on. Okay, print obj.information when it occurred. You can see that, okay, output is up here. So I'll just kind of expand it. The person's gender is female, the height is 6.2. Quite good enough, right? So this is how you can kind of create a basic object of a class person and go about printing the information. Let's see what we can do now. So now here's the thing that, okay, how to create a class, that's done. How to create an object, that's also done. Okay, methods and constructors. So again, this is something I've discussed. So up here, this is nothing but my method. So I can just kind of comment it out and write. So this is my method, and this is nothing but my default constructor. I hope that makes sense. And again, default constructor is something which kind of gets called automatically when the object of the class has been created, and method has to be explicitly called. See up here, it's explicitly called, right? Okay, what if I just want the height itself and I don't want the gender? Then in that case, what I can do is up here, instead of obj.information, I can just simply write something like this, obj.height. So this is going to give me 6.2 if I'm not wrong. So see, if I go to the last, it's going to give me 6.2. What if I want the gender here? So I can just simply replace this with the value gender. If I'm not wrong, this is going to give me female. See how cool it is, right? That's done. So we are done with all of these three things. Now comes the very important part, inheritance. In Python, this is quite important, and you can see this in many of the MCQs. So what this is going to do is that, okay, inheritance is nothing but a concept where you kind of inherit. So what do I mean by inherit? Derive. Okay, derive from some older existing entity. Okay, so when I say that older existing entity, what do I mean by that? So if there is a parent here, right, there's a parent here, and the child of the parent here, right? So the child of a parent is there. There's a child here, right? So this child is going to inherit some of the properties from the parent, right? Maybe like the eye color. If the parent is tall enough, then the child might be tall enough, right? I'm saying might be, but there's a possibility, right? Tall enough, and then so on. This will continue, right? If the parent has a brown hair, the child might be having a brown hair. So these are few of the properties which kind of this child class is going to inherit from the parent class. So this kind of relationship is known as inheritance, where the child class is going to inherit some of the properties from its parent class. What a good example this is. So right here, can I not say that, okay, I'm going to create the child class which is going to inherit the properties of the parent class? But how do I do that? That's the question. So I'm going to explain it in a very simple way. So I'm just going to create the class child, by the way. So I'll just write class. I'll also get rid of this object here so that I can just have it later on. So right now I only have a class person, and I'll be creating a class child here. So let's see, class child, and I'll just create whatever we go about creating, right, in a naive way. So define underscore init, and then I believe so we will be having self, and then we can have, suppose, self dot height. So since we are kind of accessing this child here, so I kind of want to have a different variable here, right? So height is here, and then I kind of want to have, suppose, height 2. Okay, height 2 is nothing but, suppose, 6. The child is of height 6.0, and the parent is of height 6.2. So it's kind of close, right? The gender of this is like, okay, so self dot gender 2 is going to be, suppose, the child is also female. Okay, that's it. And there is a function here, suppose, information about the child itself, information about the child. So information 2 self is there, and then I'm going to return this entire stuff here, right? So I'm just going to copy all of this statement. So maybe I can just Control C and then I'll just paste it up here. Great. So the person's gender is, instead of person, I'll be having child. So the child's gender is self.gender2 and the height is nothing but self.height2. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now that I've created this class child, not an issue at all. Okay, this is going to work fine. But what if I want to inherit the properties of the parent, the person class as well, which is nothing but the parent class. So maybe instead of person, I can just write parent, right? That makes a lot of sense. So as of now, with the if I just create an object of class child, I'll just get all of these information. I mean height 2, gender 2, and this information too. But what if I say that, okay, I'll be creating the object of class child and I want the information or want the all the information from the parent class as well. Okay, and this information as well, I want this. Then in that case, I can definitely go about using inheritance. And how do I inherit? I just simply put a bracket here, the rounded brackets, and I write the name of the parent class, which is in this case parent itself, if I'm not wrong. So this child is here, this is the child class, and this is the parent class. That's what I've been providing here. Okay, so I hope great. That's it. After I've done this, what I'll do is I'll use this keyword super here. Okay, I'll be using this super keyword. Now what this super keyword does is that, okay, it's going to help me in deriving or retrieving all of these characteristics here, like height, gender, and then it's also going to help me in getting this information as well. Okay, let's see what we can go about doing. So what I'll do is up here I'll just write super dot underscore init. Okay, here's the thing. You might be like, okay, so you're talking about inheritance, right? So this is going to be it. This is going to be it, but this is not it. Let's see why. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this entire stuff here. I'll just copy that and I'll just go to this editor. I'll get rid of this. I'll paste it here. So I believe so it's there. Great. Now I have, you might say that, okay, this is like inheritance is done and I can get all of these things. Let's see if I can get. So I'll just create the object of the child class. Child. Great. So C is small, I guess. Great. Now let's see if this is going to work or not. So obj dot, if I call height, let's see if this is working. I'm just checking if I have derived the properties here properly or not. Okay, see, if I just go to the next step, it's studying for one step only. Next, see, name parent is not defined. Okay, so there's a thing that, okay, there's a person here. So what I'll do is parent. I'll just write in parent here. I hope that makes sense. So right now, let's see what it's throwing me. See what it's saying. Child object has no attribute height. Okay, child object has no attribute height. So whenever I'm kind of defining this parent here, right, you might be like, okay, inheritance is done, so I'm done with that. No, I have to pair it up with the super keyword. The super is going to refer to the super class, right? So there's a child class, super class. And what do I mean by super class? It's nothing but the parent class itself, right? There are two classes, super classes and subclasses. So can I not say that child class child is nothing but a subclass of parent, and parent is nothing but a super class of child? So I kind of wanna, in child class, I kind of wanna use the super keyword, so I'm referring the parent here. I hope that makes sense. So up here, if I just wrote height 2, then this is going to throw me 6.0. If that's not an issue, you can see here. So how do I get it? So I'm going to use this super keyword. So this is how I use super, brackets go in. I kind of want to have the attributes here, right? So double underscore init. So what I'll do is I'll just simply write underscore init. And then up here, I'm just going to pass something called double star args. So what this is going to do, I'm just going to tell you in a moment. So I know for a fact that, okay, there is two arguments here, right? I know as of now there are two arguments, or not two arguments, but two properties here, right? But what if there were 10 or 11 properties, or more than 50 properties or attributes, and I don't know how many of them are there, right? I don't want to count them, so I can just use double star args. This makes sure that I'm kind of inheriting all of those attributes and characteristics. That's it. So height is there, gender is there, suppose color was there, race was there, and then so on, right? So I kind of don't want to calculate how many up there are, like how many attributes are there. So I just use the double star args. It kind of makes sure that, okay, I'm inheriting all of them. So as of now, if I just print height 2 again, this is going to throw me 6.0, not an issue. But if I want to print 6.2, I can just simply pass height here. So obj.height is simply going to give me 6.2. See, there's no error as well, right? There's no error as well. As of now, I can even get the gender here. So what I can do is I can just simply write gender, and this is going to give me female. If I'm not wrong, this is going to give me female. Okay, great. What I can do is I want this information here, right? I want this information here. What to do? Okay, I can just simply write up here, I can just simply write something like information brackets. That's it. And this is going to give me the person's gender is female and the height is nothing but 6.2 itself. So up here what I can do is, instead of persons, what I can write is parents gender is, that's it, done. So what I can do is, if I just go to the very end, you can see the parent's gender is female and the height is 6.2. And this is something I got after creating the object for the class child and not for the object parent. I mean object for the class parent. And this is the entire inheritance concept, right? I created an object for the child class and I got something from the parent, which is nothing but information. So have I not inherited? Yes, I have. That's the main thing. Now, here's the thing. If I want information 2, what I can do is, I can just write information 2 and get with it. I can just get done with it. The child's gender is female, the height is 6. Now, here's the thing. What if the both of these function names are same? What if both of these function names are same? Then what will be called here? What will be called? Which will be given more priority? Obj.information. Well, I can see that information is up here as well, but information is also here. So which one will be called? Which one will be given more priority? The most priority will be given to the class child itself, because the object is created itself, right? So if I just run this, you can see the child's gender is female, the height is 6.0. But what if I want to get this information as well? What to do in that case? Well, in that case, up here, what you can do is, before this return statement, you can just write this information as well. How do you do that? Here's the thing. Here's how you will be able to do it. So I'm going to write something like this: information from parent class. So information from parent class is going to be nothing but super dot. See, when I was when I was trying to get the attributes, I used this, right? So this is the function name. So up here, super dot, the function name will come up here, which is information. So I'll just copy that and I'll paste it. That's it. So information from parent class is something which I have right now. Okay. So return, this will be returned, but instead of that, what I can do is, I can even return this thing: information from parent class plus the entire thing, which is the child's gender is self.gender2, and then so on. So I'm going to get a big string here, right? So if I just compute this, I believe so this won't throw me an error. So you can see here, if I just expand this a little bit, the parent's gender is female, the height is 6.2, and I think so there should be a space here. The child's gender is female and the height is 6.0. So you can see here, right, that how informative or how much useful this super keyword is, right? Even if the function name information is same here in both the cases, I've just highlighted them in red mark. Even in that case, I can just get the inherited information function, right, which is the method. So super.information is the keyword which I have to use. So that's pretty much it from my end for this OOPS concept. So basically, if you like the video, if you were able to derive something from the video, do make sure to drop a like on the video and make sure to subscribe as well. Thank you.